Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome to my shock and awe build for War Machine for Marvel Heroes Omega. Now this is a nice simple endgame build that makes use of his range skills, and through talent selection we also have it so we don't actually use the heat mechanics, so it's really nice and simple, this setup. So what we will cover in the video anyway is we will look at the skills and talents, we then check out the optimal synergies. We follow that up by looking at where we would place the first 100 infinity points, and then at the end of the video we have some gameplay where we will do an operation and a full bounty clear as well. Now if you want to jump to any particular section, check out the description, there are timestamps there. Otherwise, let's start off by looking at the skills. Skill wise here then, we're making use of the range side of things, and by and large we have a nice simple rotation which mainly consists of 8-second cooldown skills with one or two other skills thrown in as well that we use as and when required. For the actual main spender we use Total War. Now with Total War it has a unique mechanic in that it has enhanced ammo. So with this the power gains additional properties when an enhanced ammo effect is active. Now if we look at one of them, the first skill we use in our rotation would be Plasma Cannon. We use it first because it provides vulnerability, it has a nice dot, and enhanced ammo wise it will actually increase the damage of your main spender by 15% for 8 seconds, which is also the cooldown on that particular skill. We then follow up with Clear the Room. Now do make sure you're relatively close to use this because it doesn't have the greatest range. It does 3 separate damage packets, and on top of this it loads anti-tank rounds, and they offer an increased 10% critical hit chance to your main spender, which is really pretty brilliant. We then have Spitfire. So this is a standard 8-second cooldown skill. It will pierce through enemies and it loads thermite rounds. So with these, your machine gun powers, which is your main spender, will leave a physical dot on the enemy there. The next skill we have that doesn't fit in great with our rotation, and I like to save these up and use them on groups of elites or even bosses for that reason, and it's Hammer of War. So it hits for a nice amount, leaves a dot for 5 seconds, 12-second cooldown, and through talents, although it doesn't show on the tooltip, it actually has 2 charges as well. So if you save them up, fire them off on a boss, they can really do a nice amount of damage. Now what we look at next is Built for War. Now we really need to use this as part of our rotation. If we didn't, we would have to use a basic skill, and we don't want to do that at all. So this one, it will restore your suit power, and it restores 40%. So really the higher you can get your suit power with War Machine, you do more damage, but of course the higher you get your suit power, the more you're restoring with this skill, because it's a flat 40% of your maximum, and it gives you a bit more leeway if you forget to cast it, which I sometimes find I do. Now on top of the actual suit restore, it also offers a weaken as well there. But the final skill we look at before we check out the talents is your signature, which is Army of One. So there's a huge amount of damage, fire off all your weapons at once, it looks awesome, and it makes you invulnerable as well. So what not to love about that really. But what we'll do next is we will have a look at the talents. So talent wise here we have 4 talents that I would class as mandatory, but there is one talent line where you can really pick and choose what you want, and it still will work for this build. But the first talent line we look at, we would be using Heavy Plasma Load. So Plasma Cannon gains 25% damage, and when plasma rounds are loaded, all machine gun powers gain a 10% total damage buff, so that's pretty nice there. We then have Arc Reactor, so you gain a 20% damage boost in exchange for a 50% suit power cost increase. Now this is really worthwhile. It means for every 100 spirit you get from various sources, or I say 100 spirit, 100 suit power you get from various sources, it provides you with 240 damage rating. So when we start to look at the gear section, you'll see that the damage can really add up on them. But next up we have, if I can say this right, Autonomous Missile Deployment. So War Machine periodically fires missiles at enemies, but more importantly on top of this, the Hammer of War gains that extra 2 charges, and the cooldown goes from 15 seconds down to 12 seconds. We then have Reactive Defense Systems. Now this is the talent line where you can actually choose what you want. So this particular one, when you activate Built for War, that's the skill that regenerates your suit power, you gain a shield and also you restore 20% of your max health. Now if you want, Instead you can use stealth tech, and that would make you invisible for 3 seconds when you use that skill. Or alternatively, you can use hardened armour. This provides health and also defence rating multiplier. Now it provides an actual buff to overheated status, and that you take 10% less damage, but when we look at the next talent we won't be making use of the overheated system for the reason that I find it's one resource too many to manage, and I like to keep my characters and my builds nice and simple. So this talent is coolant systems. With this you no longer generate heat, and Spitfire becomes a standard 8-second cooldown skill. So you can use it without having to have a certain amount of heat, so again makes the build nice and simple there. But next up, let's have a look at the synergies. Synergy wise here then, we start off by looking at the 2 that buff your primary attributes, which are strength and durability. So that would be Ant-Man and also Luke Cage. We then have the more standard ones that I like to use, and that is Blade, Hawkeye, Hulk, She-Hulk and Squirrel Girl. Now the specific synergies that work great on War Machine due to either having ranged or gun or even suit power on them, they would be Iron Man, Punisher and also Star-Lord as well. Star-Lord is perfect for him because it provides the suit power and also the bonus to gun. Same with Punisher, you have the ranged and gun damage there. But next up, let's look at the infinity point allocation, and we'll check out where we would place the first 100 points. Infinity point wise then, we want to start off with the Mind Gem, one of my favourite ones, as you probably know if you follow these videos, and the Deep Thought node. So 100 points will give you 250 suit power, and that will translate to a ton of damage for you, and it will mean you can fire off your skills without worry about running out of any resource. Now I would actually use your first 200 points in this to take you all the way up to 500 suit power, and then from there it's really down to you based on what you feel you need on the character. Next up now, what we will do is have a look at the general gearing priority for this build. For this section then, what I will do is give general gearing guidelines, and that way if any of the items in the game do change, you can still apply these guidelines to future builds as well. So with War Machine, he really does benefit from stacking suit power because it converts to damage, so bear that in mind for things like modifications as well. For the legendary, you really do have 2 options. The one I have on him at the moment is the Golden Bow of Apollo, so it provides bonus to range powers, attack speed, you have the rank 3 and rank 5 dots, and then you have 1500 critical hit rating to range powers. Now another legendary that can work great would be the Emkran Crystal, because that provides 200 spirit, so that would work out at 480 damage rating, 3000 health, 600 damage and 1500 flat critical hit as well. So it really is down to you which one you're wanting to use there. For the medallion, the trusty Mandarin medallion always works great on ranged heroes. What you would want to look for the green effects stat is you would want to look for the 250 suit power that you can find there. That will really help you out a lot. We then have the relic, and again we're going for the suit power here with the relic of Gibberum. Now I don't normally cover the artifacts, but this artifact is fantastic. It's amazing on War Machine and it's amazing on Iron Man as well. This is improved arc reactor. So how you get this is you go to the engineering crafter and you keep crafting all the recipes, and eventually this will drop. Now I have a fantastic roll. It currently goes up to 550 suit power, and I was lucky enough to get a roll of 549, so I'm happy with that. I'm not great at doing maths, so I'm not going to try and calculate it on the fly, but it's over 1000 damage rating it does offer to him, so it really is fantastic. The rest of the artifacts look for either gun or durability or strength to give you a guide where you want to aim with them. But that's all the gearing covered. So what we'll do now to finish up the video, as always, is we show off a bit of gameplay, really for the intent, so you can see the build in action and see how the rotation works as well. So we have a run through of the Sinister Lab, we'll do a full bounty clear and take down Sinister at the end. But as always, I hope this has been useful. If there's any questions, feel free to ask, and enjoy this gameplay.
Sorry, no can do.